Welcome to the latest episode of Platform. Today, we're going to be speaking to Freddy White. For those of you who don't know, Freddy was responsible for Frenchie Fries, a French website or Belgian website, one of the two. Either way, it was in the French language, and yeah, he put out a load of content. He put edits up there, interviews, stories. It was cool. And in later years, he became involved with BMag. I think he was the editor for them, or basically was just responsible for curating a lot of content and was one of the driving forces behind keeping it active. After Michael Byer kind of stepped away from it and Yo-Yo was running it for a while. And since then, he's also been doing the Cayenne Project. He's involved with that. And so far, they've made 3 videos. So they've made the Cayenne Project, they've made Del Fondillo and Formosa. And most recently, they made Quadro. He was also involved in the Nils Jansons VOD, not the most recent one with Bobby Spazov, the one before it, Mind the Step, where they were in Thailand. And the focus of it was on, just the environment and things like that. And basically, Fred has been involved in a lot of interesting things over the years. He's traveled all over the place. Every time I speak to him over the years, he's living in a different country or he's visiting a different country. I know he was recently in Amsterdam filming with Cavan for Plastic Pushers, the new Plastic Pushers video. So sometimes you just have to give a Frenchman a platform. And if your platform is called Platform, then it only makes sense that that platform should be given to a Frenchman. Now, if you've ever seen any of Fred's Instagram posts or Facebook posts, you will know why that is funny, because everything he does or writes starts with sometimes. And I'm going to ask him why everything he writes starts with sometimes at some point during this interview. Before that, though, cue the music.
I'm here. Good evening, Dave.
Good evening. Bonjour. Ça va?
Ça va. Bonsoir, actually.
Bonsoir. How you doing?
I'm good. A little tired, so my picture will match my actual face right now. It's perfect.
What have you been up to
Long
today?
day, busy doing nothing.
Busy doing nothing. So why is that tiring?
I don't know. I just like the change of rhythm, I guess, from being outside every day and actually, like waking up in the morning, going skating right away, and coming back at night, stretching a little bit, getting some food, and going straight to bed, and repeat for 10 days or 2 weeks. Yeah. And now I'm actually doing nothing. My body is not understanding the change. So I'm getting accustomed to it again.
You're not punishing me every day. I'm not coming home with cuts and bruises. What's wrong?
What's wrong with you? Why am I not in pain right now? Well, actually, I am sitting on my ass, which is missing a lot of skin right now. So I'm not sure how long I can actually sit without my body starting complaining again. But I'll try to make it work.
How did you get road rash on the buttocks?
Last day in Den Bosch, Sven's town. So it felt like last trip I had to do like a little, a city hopper kind of thing.
Yeah.
Of course, messed it up a couple of times and left my pants there and a nice piece of flesh.
Nice. Was Sven Bokhurst there with you guys or no?
He was battling his own trick at the time, but he got it and I got mine. So everyone won that day. Randy had a sick ass trick on that spot as well.
Randy Abels.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So is this your sponsor me tape? Yeah. This isn't for Plastic Pushers.
Yeah, finally, Senate is knocking at my door now, and I'm ready. I'm all in. Brooke Howard Smith just called me the other day. They're waiting for that tape any day now.
Hey, Brooks posting on Facebook trying to get back into the blading game. So there you go. That's your in. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. I got some nice master pusher behind me, so I'm gonna try to get in that game.
They want to start a niche rollerblading team just full of middle-aged guys. Actually, that's basically the Razors team these days, because
that's almost every team nowadays. I'm more into the bald and bearded crew. So I'll get you on the team first, and then I thought Tom Alkvist and Igor Jovanovic, my brothers from the north, would actually fit in well as well.
Tom Alquist, I like it. Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
I'll go along with that.
got some good ass kicking on the skate still.
I don't doubt that for a second. So how come you ended up being in Holland for how long did you say? 2 weeks?
I spent 3 days first, and then drove back. Basically, the plan was I went up to Lille and caught up with my friend Clément on the way. And the plan was to go there, spend a week, and then he would have to go back for work, and I would stay a bit longer. But then he arranged something on the Saturday, which was my chance to see all the old friends from Lille in one place at one time.
Right.
And so I drove back with him. I spent my entire Saturday laughing my ass off. Catching up with everyone was the best decision. And then the next day I went back to Holland and filmed for another week.
So are you talking about Clément
Boucaud?
Boucaud, yeah. Does he speak any English? Because I've tried to arrange an interview with him, and Cavan told me not to bother because he said that his English isn't any good.
It's not the best. I tried to hook him up with Duolingo sponsorship as well, but I don't think it's going anywhere at this point.
But Cavan can't speak any French, so how do they communicate?
I think B helped translate a lot when they were filming this booted section together.
Okay.
So that was like how they got around to Clément saying yes to everything Kevin would say, and then B said, asking him like, oh, "Did you understand?" He said, "Not a word."
Not a word, right?
So cool. B helped a lot, and I guess Clément is really good at just making faces and being just a funny, nice guy in general, nice to be around. Right. So they found a way somehow over a year of filming. That's maybe why the filming took a year to actually make a section together, but they did it, and I do think it's it's definitely Clément's best section.
Oh yeah, it was wicked,
and it's one of Kevin's best videos for sure.
Yeah.
So that's why also I wanted to get Clément along on this trip, so he could get the idea was to get a couple clips for Plastic Pushers 2, and then it turned maybe into something a bit bigger. Let's see. I'm not gonna get carried away, but it went nicely.
Cavan shoved the camera in front of you, and you got a bit motivated.
Yeah. It started as a joke.
It always does. That's
kind
the
of
problem.
A joke, but it was okay. We'll get some clips in the next Omi section. Like, yeah, sure. You come for 10 days. Clément spends a little bit less time, so he gets 10 clips. You get 20, and then we have a nice French section. Like, haha, okay, that's a funny one. But then in my head, it was like, okay, couple clips would be nice, but 10 would be nicer. And then I got 15 in the end. I was like, okay, it's starting to look like something. So
nice. So you said you were in Lille with friends. Where in France are you from? Are you from France originally?
I am from France, although my parents, I was born in Paris, but my parents moved to Boston, Massachusetts when I was just past 1 year old.
Okay.
And then spent 3 years there, and then came back and settled in this region, the center of France, pretty much. Like we're right in the center right here.
Right.
In a small village, 10 kilometers from here. My dad kept on moving for a while. My mom stayed here. They divorced eventually, but she's been in this house almost ever since. So that's my mom's house, and it's been my childhood home for almost as long as I've been able to go around on a pair of skates.
Nice.
And so that's where I am right now. So it's a fitting place to have this interview because that's kind of the home base.
Yeah. Are both your parents French?
Yes, they are.
Freddy White doesn't sound like a very French name.
It's not my actual name, so
I didn't think it was. Why. I thought you'd been lying to us for all these years. So what is your real name?
Lying is not exactly the right term. It's a
manipulating the truth.
Of my name. I'm Frédéric Blanc.
Frederick.
So Blanc, as you might know, is the color white, and Frédéric is Freddy.
I basically guessed right when I sent you that message, right? Okay.
Yeah, it's an easy guess. Some people just got it right without even knowing. It's like thinking they're making a joke, and that's my actual name.
Right. Okay. So You've basically been involved in so many projects that I figure we'd go in like chronological order.
I
So
actually wrote it down just to make sure I don't get lost myself.
yeah, I'm pretty sure there's loads I've missed because you seem to just have a hand in everything that goes on in
No,
your.
no, I mean, not really, but I've
That's
moved around a lot, and I guess every place is connected to different people. And from these people and the interaction we have or the ideas we share, there's always something popping up.
right.
So that's why Lille was actually the starting point of Frenchie Fries, for instance.
Yeah.
But okay, let me rewind a little bit. So until I was 18 and I graduated high school, I was here in Vierzon. So then in the center, then I moved to another city nearby called Tours, and then to Lille. That's where I did 4 years in total as a student, graduated kind of, and then went on to the real world and worked as a headhunter in Paris in high finance for a year and a half.
Okay.
And that's when I started, just to explain why Freddy White, it's because at the time I was myself hunting people down on every social network, had like dozens of fake profiles on LinkedIn and all these professional networks. And I was still at this point in life thinking, okay, this might be my job for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So everything rollerblading connected should be under another name, because I was Googling people all the time. So I know exactly how I knew how to find someone, and I guess I didn't want to be found, or this connection to be found so easily. And from Paris, I guess I got really depressed and sad with this job and realized, okay, this is not what I'm actually going to be doing in the future. And I moved to California, spent almost a year in San Diego, and then came back to France, spent a couple more years in Tours, went to Brussels for 3 years, moved to Germany, spent 2 years in Berlin, moved back to Brussels for a year and a half-ish, and then dropped the house. And since 2018, the summer of 2018, I've been home free to say like
Home
this.
free. Home free is a polite way of saying vagabond slash homeless slash couch surfing.
I stumbled upon the term in one of Kevin's. He made this little fanzine dedicated to dogs.
Right.
And I saw it last week. Like there's a picture of a homeless guy somewhere in California with his dogs, and he has a little sign saying like Army vet, blah blah blah, home free. And I'm like, oh cool. Like actually that makes sense, since at least for me, like it's an actual choice and not something that I'm forced to live with. But I decided to go this route.
What were you doing in San Diego for a year?
Spending my savings from Paris and deciding to go like the entirely opposite way from what I had been doing before, working in an office 9 to 6 every day, getting increasingly frustrated and probably depressed. Like I guess it took me. I guess I had to decide that I was quitting this job, like on the car ride back from the weekend. I was like, okay, actually tomorrow I'm going to tell my boss I'm actually quitting this job. And then I had 1 month still to work. And that's the point where I started realizing all the small things I had been putting aside, and all those, like that I was actually living in a tunnel and pretty sad in this life I was living. So California was like the opposite. Try to skate every day, at least until I got hurt. And it was the best time. It was a different time in my life as well. I guess I was still a lot younger. So the experience would be entirely different. And I guess San Diego was more of this Californian dream still. It was 2008 when I was there. So still a lot more people skating. Monday Night Skate was pretty big. SDSF was going strong.
Right.
I worked at the warehouse a little bit to make some money there, but essentially living the California life. It was nice.
What warehouse?
The Razor Sunshine warehouse.
No way. Okay, I did not know that. Right. Okay. What was that like?
It's just like a small gig, like for a couple of weeks here and there, like the craziest jobs too. But that was funny. I mean, my roommates, shout out to them actually. I was living with Matt Morrison and Jeff Akers. We're both working at the warehouse at the time.
No,
working at Sunshine in general.
Yeah.
And Jason Rena and Matt Lewis. Thanks to them for having me for 6 months in total. That was a great time.
How did you end up moving in with Jeff?
I posted a message on the BMAG message board. It was New Year's Eve, because I decided to quit end of November. So then I had to work the whole month of December. And then I like a month in Paris to get rid of my flat and stuff. And then I would have to find a place. I would need a place in California around February or beginning of March. So just posted a message on the board. I like doing dishes and I like cooking and I'm good at cleaning stuff. So I guess they liked the message and they like, I had the New Year's Eve dinner, went back in my computer, on my computer, it just had a message. Yeah, sure, you can come by. Room is free on March 1st. Okay, no questions asked, cash in hand was really easy, actually.
Nice. That must have been quite a culture shock from growing up in France to living in California because
yeah, I mean,
the French mentality is very different to the North American mentality.
It is, especially California mentality. But I had been there a few times. I was there on vacation. I went to visit. I have a really my first friend I met when I was a baby in Boston was in high school in Concord. So I went to visit her as well, spend some time. Went to high school. Like I was on vacation in France, but she wasn't. So I was going to high school with her. Right. So I had this little taste of whatever, like what I would watch here on TV, like this, like sitcom life, you know, show up, raise the flag in the morning, eat some donuts. And it was, I had some flashes. And then I went to California the first time for skating. And 3 years before that, 2005, some friends from the South, Jay McFly, Adrien Bastouille, and Monsieur Roux, nice group of friends.
I think everyone knows who Jay McFly is by now.
Yeah,
the French.
Yeah, things have changed a lot. He was not smoking. He didn't have a single tattoo.
Yeah.
And our relation has quite changed since then. But he was a sick skater, just as I'm not sure if you've seen. He's a sick fucking BMX rider now, like insane.
Didn't know he was riding BMX now. Okay.
For a year, and he's probably spent most of that year injured, but he is nuts in everything he does. Essentially,
that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, he likes. He doesn't mind risking it all. Yeah. So what? Yeah, like that. Okay, so I love how you just said, "Oh yeah, I'm not involved in everything," and you just named something that I was not even aware of, and I'm nosy as hell and end up finding out most things. I didn't. Even though you only worked at the Razors warehouse for quite a short time, what was that like?
It was really nice, actually. I had the craziest job.
Did they have the skate
I'm going to tell you, but it's just between you and me. The job was...
You do know we've already started recording, right?
Yeah, I do know that. Right. But it's only 5 people listening right now, so I guess I can't get in trouble for it anymore.
If I'm lucky.
There's prescription on those things. No, I have nothing bad to say, actually.
Oh no, I wasn't asking you to say anything bad. I was just like, did they have the skate park then?
No, it was before that. I think they started building it. They still had the neighbor that was renting this other part of the warehouse. So I guess this guy moved out the year after that.
Right.
It was before the skate park and the Razor's house. But the job was some of the Genesis skates came with some jug liners, and instead of double sewing the little thing on top of the tongue of your liner, the Chinese workers only like barely stitched it. So every time someone would pull the liner to put their foot inside the skate, it would rip off this little piece of the tongue. So it wasn't actually damaging the liner, but you would just like rip off the stitches right away. And so the job, instead of replacing the liners, I just came here every day and just removed those little things on top of the liner's tongue.
Oh, right. So that they wouldn't notice they were gone. Right. Okay. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would just pull the stitches out and that's it. But that was a perfect job for me. I would go skate in the morning, power skate park, and have food, work for a couple hours. It was good as long as I was ahead of the job pretty much, and then go to the beach and then we'd barbecue in the evening at the house. And then do it all over again the next day. So yeah, the culture shock was real, but it was really enjoyable. Like it was so different from the past year and a half just working in an office.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can imagine.
I can definitely. I've been there, done that. So you're a massive rollerblading geek like I am as well. So I'm willing to bet there was moments like this. Being in San Diego, and obviously like lots of legends have kind of passed through there over the years. Were there ever any like rollerblading fanboy moments where you met someone you were like, holy shit. Like
Mm,
as a kid, I thought you were amazing, or like, I don't know.
I guess not really.
No,
I'm trying to
because
think, like, honestly, moment where I might have embarrassed myself, and there probably were some moments, but I can't think of one really. I probably was one of the million people who asked John Elliott why, like, would you want to skate a little bit? Like, I don't know, like pushing back on the skates, like a million skaters have probably asked him before,
yeah,
but I guess he was already way over it at that point. So I never caught him on the skates, unfortunately. But no,
okay,
I was part of a few like happy moments. Like I think at the Esco skate park, the first time Louis put skates on for the longest time. He hadn't skated for a couple of years, and I was there the one day he actually put some skates back on. So that
nice,
was great.
yeah,
Yeah, like groom it moment, I don't know, but since it's related to part of my blade career, I did judge my first contest, like a smaller contest at the Escondido skate park, and the head judge was Dominic Sagona. Louis was judging, and either Robert or Eric Schrein were judging as well. And I was really anxious before we started debating the result that I would come to, like, I had come to a different conclusion, and I would have to argue my case with those guys.
yeah.
And thankfully, we had everything, like we had all the same rankings, so I didn't have to argue anything. But that would have been like a good tryout for a first event as a judge.
Also, that'd have been a pretty funny story, like getting into an argument about rollerblading with half of the original Senate kill
Nah,
team.
I, I I would have just shut my mouth and be like, yeah, sure, guys, no problem, no
Yeah,
problem.
yeah. That is pretty funny. So yeah, I obviously knew you were responsible for the Frenchie Fries website, but
Yeah,
then you took over BMAG after Yo-Yo left. Is that right? Yo-Yo Yakubi, because I remember because that was the same year I went to Winter Clash and Michael asked me to take over as the editor. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like I've just started I've just started my own publication. And then Yo-Yo took the job. And I was
yeah.
like, all right, cool. And he ran with it and like really like brought BMAG back from the dead because it felt
So I
like
guess we have a similar experience because at the same Winter Clash, Michael probably asked me as well, like, wouldn't you want
okay.
to take over BMAG? I was like, no, I have Frenchie Fries, and
Yeah.
I was still really involved with it. So no, like how it went. Basically, Frenchie Fries started. We started organizing and working on it the year before when I was still in Paris. So my job sucked, but at least I had access to a computer with internet. So that's when I started using the BMAG message board a lot, connecting with lots of people. And that's when we started debating, like creating this website. And then I moved to California, and I remember we launched the website maybe the weekend after Beat a Call Showdown or something. I was still in Rochester, and I was taking a bus to California a few days after. And so we launched on that very weekend. And then it went on for like 5 years, more or less. So by the time I had come back to France, when I was back, I did work on it quite a lot. We're quite prolific. There were like a couple down moments in the whole 5 years period, but all together we did produce a healthy amount of content, all in French and English, which was good for my future career as well. And then at some point, 2013, I guess, I was in Brussels. That's when Frenchie Fries stopped almost entirely, and Yo-Yo. So we refused that offer, and Yo-Yo took it because he was doing blading info
Yeah.
at the time, and then merged the two concepts together and made BMAG what it became, thankfully. And I started collaborating. I was already producing stuff for BMAG every now and then, but that's
Yeah, I
when
remember
we
that. Yeah.
started working more closely together. And there were a couple events when we were together. I mean, I guess my involvement with BMAG as a more frequent and then editor in chief um, was through my relationship with Yo-Yo. Like we just, and Dominic, I guess those were two really important factors because we started hanging out a lot at events. There was Roskilde the first year, which was amazing, best time of my life. Like every first, Roskilde, I think
I'm
almost.
insanely jealous that I don't know why I never went, but yeah, and now it feels like that opportunity might not ever happen. But yeah,
I mean, I've never been to Glastonbury, so there's there you always miss out on something, but
This is
for
true.
sure there were, and I was already late on the party. I guess like the years before were even crazier probably, but the first year I went there, so 2013, and I went there with Remy Meister, who was
Yeah.
my roommate at the time, but it's also like we were friends for 10 years at that point, and it was like, I don't know, some sort of friendship celebration at that time. We're both like broke, absolutely broke. We're like picking up the cans to survive and make it. We had no money to go back to Brussels either, so we made enough. We hustled our way through the festival and
That's a
back
lot of
to.
cans you need to collect if you're saving up. If you're
We
saving
did
up for your
work our
travel
asses
back,
off.
yeah.
We worked like crazy. We'd party all night, go to every concert we wanted to, and then we'd pick up cans for a few hours, drop them at 6 or 7 in the morning with all the gypsies and Chinese people who do that as an actual job,
Okay.
and go sleep a couple hours, a few more for me and probably just a couple for Remy, and then do it all over again. And then yeah, it was intense. I can't tell all the stories that happened there, but it was explosion, mind fuck on many levels. I think I tried to write about it in some of those books we made the years after. I'm not sure if you can see those as like small fanzines we made with Dominic, Felix Trozetsky, and Alex Schneiders the year after. But essentially, that's how we connected with Yo-Yo really strongly and started working. Like I did the live update from Roskilde, which was as intense as it gets as a job because you do one every day. So it's like 7 days of festival, 8 days of updates, and you obviously don't sleep and you're hungover every morning, but you still have to sit in this super hot container for a few hours until you get all the pictures in, write down your text. And meanwhile, you hear the music and the people are skating the skate park that's a few meters away on the other side of the fence. And like every second is a real struggle because you just want to be out there with everyone. So from there is when we started writing concepts and exchanging ideas a lot with Yo-Yo. After Roskilde, I went back to Berlin and spent a couple of weeks there, and that's when we started working like crazy. So I was traveling for the summer, but came back and during that summer went to a couple of other music festivals, and that's when I decided I would go to Berlin and try to live there, and went there. And that's it. Just started working. It was pretty intense from the start, actually. We were really like the way Yo-Yo created or built the website could have been like to keep everything updated and nice and proper would have taken like a full-time job for 5 people easily. Right. There was so many, like if you want to take care of all the events, all the social media, which was much smaller then, but still already taking a lot of time, all the events, keeping in touch with everyone. Yeah, I don't know. You know the job. It can be lots. And so
Yo-Yo's like, when Yo-Yo decides he's going to do something, he takes it serious. He's like, this is, I'm dedicating everything.
Definitely. It was dedicated. So, I guess people would tell you the same about me, at least at that point in my life. This was, okay, this is what we're doing. I'm not getting paid a single euro. I don't care. Let's do it. And
that's what I was going to say. How feasible was it to do that? Because you're living in a different city where you're not from. You need to pay rent, bills, food, support yourself. But you're also basically running a website for nothing.
I mean, at the time, so after coming back from my first Roskilde in 2013. Like one thing I knew for sure is I was going to be back the next year. So I got a job in a really, really fancy restaurant in Brussels and worked every single hour I could get and hustled as much money as I could, like saved everything. And so I could travel the next summer. But then I saved so much that I was able to go to Berlin and live a couple of months there with my savings. And my rent was 300 euros. I was living with Friedeke Reich, Ziekenhuis Blader and Blady. And so she had like this bigger flat with her kid and had a spare room. So that's where I moved in. And
she has a child.
She has 2 now, but she did have 1 then.
All right. No, but I always just thought she was really young or something. Okay.
We're around the same age. She might be a little bit younger than me, but she's a lot more responsible and adult than me. So I guess that makes entire sense. But how did it work? At first, it wasn't working, but I was working, and I was really like just into making it like happen. And then that's when also Michael and Leo from Ignition, from back in the days, Ignition, created the BMAC shop together. So
That's when, yeah,
Yo-Yo
they
had
started like
like,
kind of sponsoring the website or like funding it or something. Yeah. Was that then?
I'm not sure what the business deal they made was. Probably
Right.
Leo wanted to have like a skate shop and then was paying some money to use the BMAC name. And that was like help to fund the website in general as a main sponsor kind of thing.
Okay.
And so I started getting 250 euros as an employee for the skate shop as a retribution for all the work. I was doing very little for the skate shop, but doing everything for the website. So that was a way to kind of even it out. And Yo-Yo was getting a small pay from BMAC as BMAC. And so I was getting 250. My rent was 300. So I only had to find 50 euros a month to make it work.
I mean,
And
you still have to find money for food, and you know you're presumably going to want to have, you know, beers or whatever, or go out and enjoy yourself once in a
thankfully,
while.
beers are really, really cheap in Berlin, and
This
everything
is
is
true.
really cheap. But yeah, I struggled for a while. I mean, the whole time I was in Berlin, I was really, really broke. But it worked out, and I was spending, honestly, when I was in Berlin, I would spend between 10 and 14 hours a day in front of my computer. And so maybe we would meet in the evening with Yo-Yo or Dominic and have a couple of beers, but that would be it, essentially. And most probably we would be discussing BMAC things at the time.
Yeah.
So, and also I was still a head judge for FISE at the time, so I would still make money here and there. So I guess altogether it was not a lot of money, but I could balance it. And then eventually Yo-Yo quit, and I was already like, it's hard to say when the takeover happened, because before that was Winter Clash, and after Winter Clash also Yo-Yo needed a break. So there were already moments where I was like fully in control or in charge of BMAC.
Right.
So I guess it just happened really naturally. And since we built a lot of it together, I guess I just transitioned into me being in charge and the site being essentially the same or run the same way. And then I had for a while the money from the shop and the website, and I could live comfortably for my level, which means 750 euros a month. But for me, that was a lot of money at the time. And
But
yeah, it's more than,
working like 13, 14-hour days, as you're saying, like in front of a computer, you know, trying to keep all the social media updated, keep in contact with people. You know, I've been there and done that, you know, commissioning photographers, arranging interviews that people may or may not flake out on after you've done like, you know,
no, never
weeks of
happened
research
before.
and work. That, oh my God.
Skaters flaking on you, not happening.
Oh
Ever.
man, I genuinely thought doing this podcast that I wouldn't have to fall victim to that again. And I can already name, I'm only what, 30 something episodes deep, and 3 people have done it to me. One person stood me up twice during for like
Yeah, I
this.
think that's the specialty, but then that's when you really want it, and then you get it a second time, you're like,
I was like, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And they stood me up, and I'm just sitting there on the other end of a Zoom call like a dickhead for an hour, just waiting on someone that's not showing up. Yeah. Like I thought if I didn't have to get photos and, you know, so, yeah, it still happens.
yeah,
So
I mean, that's why I love doing the job. And I guess that was kind of a dream job of mine when I was really a younger blader. Like when I started skating or started like going to events and stuff, Crazy Roller was the big media in France, and still is one of the best fucking magazines I've seen in
magazines
skating,
ever.
actually.
Yeah.
Too bad nobody could actually understand what they wrote, but they were really opinionated, and I think they were right on a lot of things. They were ahead of their time in a lot of ways. And first FISE I went to, I guess I got to see Anto was the editor in chief, and I went up to him, like, how does it work? How do I work for you? Like, what's the job? How do I become a skate journalist? So I guess it took a while, and I made it happen on my own with Frenchie Fries first, and then BMAG.
Then BMAG.
But yeah, BMAG just happened to be like this dream job that I had at one point. And so being there, done that, I'm not missing it, because yeah, like the amount of time, it's not so much the time you dedicate to it, but yeah, keeping track of everything on social media, that the amount of time you have to spend on Facebook and Instagram. I mean, I didn't have a smartphone then, and so I was thankfully protected from and it was not as big as it is now with
Yeah.
the stories and with all the videos that go straight to Instagram and don't even transit through YouTube first. So I was still protected from that, but yeah, I would spend this amount of time, because then I would be gone for a couple of weeks or a couple of months where I could not dedicate as much time to the website. So I would prepare stories in advance. I was organizing way ahead to make sure I would keep the website running as good as possible, even when I was away. And that happened until the last winter 2015, and my computer broke down in China, and I guess I broke down with the computer. And for a month I was unreachable because I literally didn't have a computer with me, not anymore.
Yeah.
And Dominic was telling me, hey, I'm receiving messages from Yo-Yo, and then I'm receiving messages from Michael. And I'm sorry, like I can't handle it right now. Like this is, I've been, my work tool has been stolen from me by fucking Chinese stupid Wi-Fi or whatever. Like computer just exploded. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a short break. We go to Thailand, we'll skate, we'll do something entirely different, and I'll go back and then make things work again. But I guess that was a way of becoming aware of the toll it was taking on my everyday life as well, and like the amount of space it was taking in my head. And I probably didn't ever skate less in my skate life than when I was in Berlin, which is ironic because I was dedicating my whole life to skating.
That's the thing though. And I think what people don't realize is when you're that passionate about something and then you dedicate all your energy towards creating something for that passion, it means that you can no longer actually have the time to skate because you know, if you're doing the website and writing stories and like your friends will contact you and be like, hey, we're going out skating at 6 o'clock. And you're like, shit, I've arranged to do an interview tonight. I can't come out skating at 6 o'clock. Or then someone's like, oh, go out tomorrow. And you're like, yeah, I've got to type it up. I've got to I've got to contact. So I think there's so much more that goes into it that people aren't aware of. And I think it can be very easy to get burnt out, especially if you do it for like a prolonged period. And you were doing BMAG for several years.
Like fully a couple 2 years, I guess, like back to back, from summer of 2014 to summer of 2016, which is like the time my contract actually expired, or my spoken contract. But it was the best time as well, because what I just said about Roskilde, I think I gave the keys to the website to Josip. I think it was the first day of the music days in Roskilde. So I did the first couple of days of Roskilde were my last couple of days of BMAG. And then the music was starting and I just got to write these thank you notes. And then I was free, and then it was fucking music every day. Yes. That's very liberating. The best place it could have happened as well, because it was kind of the start of my like full-time involvement with the website. And that's when I also got to get my freedom back. So that was very, very enjoyable.
So was that the same year that you guys did the first Cayenne project?
It was the year after. The first Cayenne tour happened in 2015.
So
I was doing BMAG. I was doing BMAG on tour every day.
Right.
Like I was in the morning, I was doing like all the updates, all the picture of the day, the 5 news posts a day. It was really structured the way I did it as well. So I knew exactly like, okay, this is my template for the day. I need to have at least 4 fresh news plus 1 picture. And if I'm lucky, like while on tour, it's harder, but like I also need like, the plan was you get a full length article on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays, right, or at least 3 times a week. That was the point for like a main article. And then you get like 5 news posts a day. So that was my mornings, and then sometimes the guys would have to go and skate before, and like, at least in Humboldt, it happened a couple of times. I stayed at home and worked a bit longer, and then I would catch up with the guys. But that was intense.
Who came up with the idea for Cayenne Project? Like who? Because
I guess Carsten had the idea for a long time, because he was going to Roskilde before, and I guess he always kind of had in the back of his head the idea, oh, since all these guys are here, might as well like do something afterwards, but never really pushed forward. And then I moved to Berlin, and came up. It's quite a logical idea. It's not like a genius idea. Obviously, all these guys are here. Their flights are, most of them, their flights expenses are taken care of by Roskilde. So all we have to do is take care of them for like a couple of weeks, and then they can get on the return flight. And so I started talking about it with Yo-Yo, and Yo-Yo told me, "Hey, Carsten was thinking about it a long time ago, you know." So connected with Carsten, made it happen. I guess it's a shared effort, shared idea, and shared effort.
And how did you decide who to include? Like, how did you just decide to make it like that cast of people? Because it's not, throughout the 4 videos that you guys have made, it's not actually changed that much. Like, a few people have dropped away because they couldn't do it. Like, you know, Warpodge couldn't do certain.
But he's still part of it. That's the thing. Like, for various reasons, he couldn't make it to the second. Was too late on the third. And then on the fourth one, we really tried. I was with him in Thailand, and we really run. Him being Thai, it's really hard for him to get a visa. And so we were trying to find every loophole to get him into Mexico, found one, then we're too late to get the tickets, and then realized that, okay, the only way to go is through the States, but then you need, even to transit in the international zone of the airport, you still need a visa to enter the States, even if you're not entering the States. And for him, that was absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
And so he's still part of it. Everyone who's been involved with it from the start is still part of it. I'd like to see it as shares. So it's like 15 people have an equal share of the project at this point. That includes Jonas Bodker, who's doing the design and all the graphics, and Guy Crawford, who's doing the website design.
Yeah.
I'd like to think we all have an equal share of the project, and there's no, I mean, obviously this isn't, it's an ideal, and that's not really how it works with. But we had a big discussion during the first tour, trying to decide how we're going to split the money and so on. Like, because we knew we're going to make another one for sure already during the first trip. So we're trying to decide of a way, and we came to the conclusion that the only way to make it fair is that everyone is equal in the equation. Everyone has an equal share of the profit, and thus of deciding if they come or not on the next tour and so on. But we did include 2 new skaters the next year, Dominic and Joe. Yeah. But that was a big discussion. It was not like, okay, yeah, sure, let's have them on tour. We discussed a lot about it beforehand. It was not so easy, and not everyone agreed because of this thing. Like, but they have to earn their share. We all have earned it from the first trip. So some people's argument was they have to earn they have to buy their way in, for instance.
I wouldn't say that's unfair.
That's I can understand the point of view. I didn't agree with it, but I can understand it. But in the end, they came, and I think they made the tour so much better, especially after Joe's performance.
Joe skated insane in it. Was there any profit to split? Because when I talked to Jonas, he was under the impression that you guys essentially just kept putting money back into the project for each new trip, and that there wasn't really much in the way of profit at all.
Tricky topic. It's not that I don't want to talk numbers, but at this point I have no clue what the numbers are anymore, because it's not my bank account. Yeah. And I sure wish a lot of things were handled differently when it comes to accounting and stuff. We did realize before the trip to Mexico, like 3 days before the trip, I got a message from Carsten saying that he overestimated the amount of money we had left. And by a wide
I meant Carsten.
Margin.
I said Carsten.
Huge margin, like a mind-fucking huge margin. And it was like, okay, so I thought we had a budget, and actually we're fucking broke. And we went on with it. And so now I'm not sure exactly. We did sell videos, so money came back in. Then how much are we going to pay in taxes and so on is another topic. A lot of things to me have to evolve if we want to make it work. I'm not sure we're going to evolve. I think it's a perfect moment to do it. I'm not sure it's going to happen. This is the most I can say right now. Like, obviously also with this current situation, the whole idea of even going on tour is in limbo, because getting 12 people from 3 different continents all in one place with the current restriction is not even a topic.
It's pretty much impossible. And some, land borders could get shut down at any moment.
Yeah, that's the thing. You could plan given like the current regulations, but you have no idea if they're going to stand. Like in the next 3 weeks, it might have been changed entirely.
Yeah.
So there will probably be another Cayenne tour. I'm not sure I'm going to be involved with it, but
you're skipping ahead. I don't even want to get to that bit yet. Right, Fred, you need to pace yourself, right?
I'm pacing.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. So obviously there was when I spoke to Carson about it, he basically said that each consecutive video made less money than the next one. He was like, it kind of just kept going down. And depending on what the starting point is or how many sales there were at the start, it's like, it's all relative and how much that would be doable. But you said it yourself, like with the Mexico one, you guys realized that you completely over budgeted yourselves and put yourselves out of pocket. Aside from that kind of hurdle, what other like difficulties did you guys run into making the videos, whether it was either, the European one or the Greece one or the one in, oh God, I always get it wrong. It's not Thailand.
I'm going to let you struggle for a minute. Taiwan.
I always get those two mixed up because I'm Western and ignorant.
One is in an island and the other one is not. And
so what were like the main kind of difficulties that you guys ran into while making them, whether it was either organizing it or whether it was when you were actually on tour together, like, because
I would say the start of the previous, like the last one, the latest one at least, Mexico, was just a bit of a struggle in terms of, okay, so we realized we're over budget. So of course that puts a little extra stress, but I can't say it was too much on the mind. Maybe Carson was more into that idea at the time, but it was like, okay, we're here and we got to make it work. So it's not going to change much in the way we operate. At least while we're here, we got to, keep on keeping on and try to get some tricks in. But getting tricks in was not so easy. And Mexico City didn't, maybe we just checked the wrong places, but
it looked quite intense. Like it looked very population heavy and like hard to skate the busy places. And then
crowd wise, it was okay. The population was more of a stress in Taiwan because it depends. Some places were really laid back and then some places were really hostile. Like there were a couple instances where even I got really angry at people for being so angry with us and being really insulting. And it was a different experience in terms of people. It's the first time in life. I guess it's a important experience to have also. But I've been told to go back to my country. And I guess everyone has to hear that once in their life to understand how it feels, because I felt really hurt.
Yeah.
But overall, like, let's say skating wise, Taiwan was fucking perfect. Are there any team in the world or any group of skaters to go in any place and get this much footage done in 3 weeks? Because we really spent like 12 hours a day with our skates grabbing as much footage as we could. And
because it rained and stuff as well, didn't it, while you were there? Like the weather wasn't always great. We didn't get this
much rain, but we got kicked out a lot. So if you take, and there's a couple of really frustrating instances where Joe had this big white drop kink rail, for instance, in Taiwan, where we went once and he was trying to royale it, which is terrifying because you're facing the drop. And
that's the one,
went at it for a little while.
Is that the one he split? Is that the one that he split?
Yeah. But it's not the day he split it. Like we went the first time and it's the same day Farm tried this line with the three rails on those 127 stairs. So he battled it, couldn't get it. And then Joe went to that kink rail and tried to royal it for a while and couldn't quite commit to it. So it was a frustrating experience. But we had a sick day of skating before. So it was okay, cool. And then the last day, we have to hit the road and go back north of the island. And Joe and Farm both won it still. So we went back to Farm spot and spent another 2 hours battling that spot. It's like just going up and down the stairs, like 127 stairs every time was such a mission.
It's got to be so draining. Yeah.
And then he got hurt. The first time it was sticky. This time was super, like the rails were super slippery for God knows what reason. So first fail, we spent 2 hours on it. Then we went to Joe's spot. And this time he realized that Seoul is the one. And actually is just a couple of tries of having it. Like he warmed up, understood, and we got kicked out. Just like, I swear it would have been a couple more tries and he would have gotten this amazing huge kink rail, but security, and it was pretty intense bust as well. So they really kicked us out and chased us down out of the university. So for like, this were a couple instances where we did really spend a lot of time and didn't get the clips, but otherwise during 3 weeks, I'm not sure how many clips we got together. It's like a 10 clips a day kind of thing. Not that it's the numbers matter so much, but just to say how productive it was. The spots were easy to come by. Like, we never really struggled to find spots in Mexico. So we're coming off this really amazing high. The video was really well received. And then we went to Mexico. And then we had talked to a couple of people. I talked to Ivan, and they were, oh, spots should be easy. You don't really need a map, or you don't need to pinpoint spots really. You'll find stuff for sure, especially with, the guys that are on this tour, like, will find stuff.
Yeah, they can skate anything. So yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't find anything. There were a few days where we really got like a couple clips and that's it. And like, man, like, we've been looking for a long while and we can't find shit.
So
this went on for a few days, and suddenly we realized, whoa, like, this might turn into a mission that we didn't really had in mind. Like, I guess there were a couple of moments like this where, like, whoa, we actually didn't get anything good today. How are we going to make it work if we don't even get the footage?
Yeah.
Because now we broke and we don't have the stuff to make a video. How is that going to work? And then we still got some stuff, but then we traveled west towards Guadalajara. I hope I pronounced that right. And then it was more easy, more laid back, more spots. And then suddenly we went back into the good old groove. But it took a while to get there. Right. So this was maybe one of those moments where, like, whoa, is this actually going to work? Or have we just like burned all the money we didn't have on a trip that's not going to produce any video? That's...
Is that the point where you panicked and went, damn, maybe we should have done some like research from this and like picked out a bunch of spots on Google Maps? Or
we did like Carsten and I both watched a whole bunch of videos, skateboard and BMX. We did talk to a few people beforehand as well. And even then, like, there were some absolutely sick moments, like the night session at the skate park we organized in Mexico City, where we thought it would be like a small get together thing, or like a local shop helped put it together, and then we show up and 300 people waiting to get their t-shirt signed, and like, well, okay.
Of course,
this was a mind-blowing moment as well.
Yeah, they've got massive blading communities in like the South American countries, and it's not like they're ever going to see these people again. So as soon as they find out, like,
they saw Joe.
That's what I mean. Like, as soon as they find out, they're like, we're going to this event. We're going to see these guys. They might not ever come here again. Yeah.
So yeah, that's in terms of mindfuckery, that's probably the biggest hustle was, like, to get this trip started. But then,
so there was no other hardships on any other videos. I find that very hard to believe. There was no other like moments where you're like, holy shit, I don't know if we can do this, or this is just too hard, or
I'm gonna take a second to really think hard about this, but really, not really.
The first video seemed to go quite easy. The first video seemed like a very hippy dippy like trip around Europe where you guys are just hitting everything.
That was really the mood on the whole trip.
Yeah. And then Greece is just, Greece looked pretty much effortless. I mean, Nick set you guys up in a house. Greece,
like, it was also way easier in terms of a lot less traveling.
Yeah.
Of course, there were shitty moments, like our van got broken into in Greece, and Carson and Joe got some of their stuff. Joe got his camera stolen. Like, they stole his bag, but then he had his money saved in a secret pocket, so he found that. But Carson had his whole thing just disappear. No passport, no nothing. There were moments like this, but overall the trip went really well. And also, like, I think the big difference, the first one, we just went our own way and we found stuff along the way. It was also a longer trip if you include the days before Roskilde in Copenhagen, and then Roskilde itself, and then the trip, and then the days in Berlin. It was almost 6 weeks if you put it all together. And then Greece was 3 weeks, Taiwan was 3 weeks, and Mexico 3 weeks.
Right.
Greece went by fine. because Kuros was helping us with everything. He found us the contact to rent the vans for cheap. Like he set us up at the house, but he also knew the spots. He could send us on this direction. And I mean, Carson had spotted the bowl on the island in Andros. So he knew we needed to go there, but then Kuros knew the guy, of course, because he knows everyone and helped it happen. And then we had Potsang in Taiwan, and yeah, that worked perfect as well. Like he helped connect with everyone, find the contacts in Kaohsiung. Carson knew a few guys as well. So same thing. Like once you have a local guy that's really, really reliable and really understands also what you're trying to do, it's so much easier. And then Mexico, we had locals, but not really that one guy who knows all the places. And I guess that's when Carson really realized also, oh fuck, like actually, yeah, we're missing this one guy. Like, yeah. So many thanks to Potsang and Kuros, and thanks to all the locals in Mexico who helped out. But yeah, we did spend a lot of time looking for stuff and not really finding anything. So yeah, in my mind, that was the hardest point. Like on tour, just realizing that you're trying to get stuff every day, but not getting much good stuff done.
Well, yeah, because that's when you start panicking, going, "Are we going to have a video at the end of this?"
Yeah, I mean, it was not really panic anyway. Like again, like the laid back atmosphere you get in video is not like, it's not 3D effects and the magic of editing. This is really how it goes. So in the end, we're still like, okay, well, never mind. We'll get a couple cervezas and tomorrow will be easier. And maybe it's not, but you keep on going, and just it worked out in the end.
And if not, Carson Starnes can provide you guys with enough B-roll to film an entire video. So if you ever run out of spots or everyone gets hurt, you just get him to turn on his natural born entertainer, and he's.
I guess it was on the entertaining side, maybe a bit more quiet on the last trip. But I would say one thing about Carson is he really is the glue. Like I've seen it in other instances. In Barcelona, for instance, when he left Barcelona, for instance, like the vibe, the whole crew was not, it was still there, but it was not the same without him. And if he doesn't make it on next kind trip, for sure, then it's going to be really different. Like,
oh, you mean,
yeah, he is the MVP for sure. It's not so obvious when you from the outside, but I swear, without this guy, you wouldn't get the same vibe. You wouldn't get the same tricks either. Like love my boy.
Some of the
gorgeous,
stuff he does is
miss you, boy.
Are you talking about the THC crew in Barcelona when he was there? Yeah, it did feel like that pretty much all ended when, after he left. He was. I've actually been in touch with him recently, and he's saying that he, like, the last time I spoke to him, he said he hadn't skated in months.
Yeah, that might be true.
And I was
probably
like,
the same with Slinky. I'm not sure there's a lot of skating going on in Atlanta.
Well, yeah, Chris for a while has been, just skates whenever it takes his fancy. He's readily admitted in the past that it's not like it's not one of his priorities anymore. But I was surprised. I was surprised when Carson was like, "Yeah, I haven't had the skates on in months," and I was like, "Whoa!" Like I did not see that coming. So, and if you look in his social media, it doesn't look like he's had them on since, and that was a few months ago.
No, but I would go on a camping and climbing trip with them for sure. I'd love that.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure he'd still be a lot of fun. So in all these trips, like, what's your involvement with the Cayenne Project? Like, what are your responsibilities for it, or like, do you?
I guess if you want to put a title on it, it's co-creator, co-producer, but essentially like taking care of. Again, like I'm not sure to which extent and to what point it will be possible to do it in the future. I'm not sure I want to spend energy trying to fight my way through the project actually, but essentially, taking care of logistics, planning, budgeting.
Just maybe trying to arrange as much as possible.
Yeah, just make things work, and then take care of media, write a book about it, whatever. But on the last one, essentially, it was writing a book, and I'm not sure my writing is that good that I'm worth a plane ticket.
Hey, don't even start that shit, because I'm pretty sure you've beat me for like writer of the year at least twice.
Yeah, but I'm not so sure it's deserved. I'll take it. I'll take it as a compliment. But
Sorry, I've got a voodoo doll of you, and every time you win it and I don't, I stab it repeatedly, so it's fine. So when you've mentioned like some of the things that were hard about it, and I imagine I'm really hoping you kept a journal of like all these trips that you went on and just noted everything down, because yeah, those would
I
be.
don't have everything, but I
I,
still have like a few notes on my phone with all the stupidest quotes from the last trip. For instance, this
that's
is it wouldn't
yeah.
make sense to anyone else, but for me, every time I read like one of those, and it just like sparkles. Oh yeah, Richie. Oh fuck, yeah. Oh Benny. Yeah, like I have these moments in my mind for sure, and I have like a few things that help like reignite it. I mean, it's really cool that for those trips, I think that's why it's so important to have the video and the photos and the text, and all together you can get like a broader picture of what those trips are like in general. It's yeah. For instance, I wasn't sure how I felt about Mexico, and then I did watch the video at like a not a premiere, but like we had a small screening in Bulgaria last year when it came out.
Yeah.
I did not watch it beforehand. I made it a point to never watch it before the premiere, and watch it in a room where most people didn't skate and was mostly female as well. So it was really nice to get this on screen and just get this huge smile and everybody cheering and really enjoying the vibe, and like it put things in a lighter, funner perspective again for me. So I don't have a journal, but memories are there.
But that's what I said. Like that's like something that's very much missing from blading. Like those like epic, because you know you get like the rock journalism, and you get like the tour, like the tour books, or like the stories
Yeah.
are like I think of thinking of examples like, you know, like just incredible autobiographies about, you know, iconic rock bands. And that's something that you could have easily done with even just one of those trips. But now you've been
Mm-hmm.
on four of them. You could easily create a book that is just a true reflection of everything that you didn't see in the video. Like, I don't know, the arguments or the missions or the funny things that weren't captured on video
But they
by
were,
Carson and Benny.
I think this trip worked too well. It needs more rock and roll and insanity. And actually, at this point, we're just really good friends that all like really enjoy going on a trip together. So it's not like fitting the bill so much. But I did have this image like a few times, not necessarily on the Cayenne trip, but like this almost famous movie. You know, like this
Yeah, yeah.
young, idealistic teenager that goes on tour with his favorite rock band and then gets to see the other side. Um, I mean, like I did imagine myself being in that position a few times, but I've never. Maybe you have to wait for the Winter Clash 20 years anniversary book. That's maybe something. If you have good stories, we should talk.
I'll just get you drunk next time I see you, and then I'll ask you the same questions again, and I'll get more honest answers.
You got honest answers. Like no, for sure. Like arguments, not. I mean, not with this crew. That's the crazy thing. There's obviously there's moments where people are down or whatever, but there's no personal argument so much. There's a lot of shit talking, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But
I can
that's, I
imagine.
guess, that's the way everyone has to vent, and everyone's really good at it. So, for instance, Richie suffered the whole trip last time because he was not getting a lot of skating done,
Oh yeah, because he was
yeah,
sick.
everybody reminded him daily
Yeah.
that it was maybe time for him to retire. So that those conversations were really really entertaining.
I mean, he's only brought out one promo since, so maybe he took you guys seriously and said, you know,
Mm, I think I think he will be turning 40 this summer, and I have the feeling that he might be trying to get 40 clips for that anniversary.
yeah, it looks like
Maybe.
he's. Yeah, I've seen some recent posts suggesting he's skating a little bit more at the moment. So you kind of mentioned it, but are there any specific memories of like highlights that you look back on and you're like, God, that was an incredible memory, or you know, that one night really stands out, or you
For
know,
Cayenne, you mean?
just in any of the four trips that you went, whether it was Europe, Greece, Taiwan, or Mexico, like.
Um,
And or anything that you were like, God, that was a really special moment. Like, I'm really glad I got to experience that.
Joe in Greece, I think, is the first thing that comes to mind. Like, okay, let's try and pick a moment for every tour. But first that comes to mind is Joe in Greece. That
Right.
was insane. Like, and I can't even say one trick specifically, but those moments happen several times throughout the trip. The soul grind he does on this on the library. It's the National
The curved
Library of
ledge. Yeah.
Greece. Like, this was, in terms of intensity, this was one of the craziest thing I've ever seen on skates. Because the trick is crazy, but then the atmosphere, like, it's this big avenue. It's almost empty. We set up. It's just six of us. Carson and Benny are filming. Carson is filming long lens. Benny is up there with Joe taking the run up. David and I are just like sitting a bit further. Dominic is taking the picture and Joe is skating. That's it. Then this crazy alarm goes off and you got the voice in the microphone. You can kind of hear it in the video, like screaming. It's really fucking loud. The street is almost empty, but everyone that passes by knows like something is happening there.
Yeah.
And is threatening to call the police. So everyone, we dip, we go a couple blocks up, hide on the street. Then they go back to film, but David and I, we stay up there. I think this happens a second time, but by the time I think Dominic and Carson only stayed. Benny already had the angle from the top. So then it's the three of us waiting 2 blocks away and we hear the siren go on again. And then the three guys like Carson, Dominic, and Joe come in running up the street like, we got it. Biggest heist. And we just, man, this moment was insanely epic. Like, the bridge is skated into that big van, into the craziest, busiest road. This was insane. We went back twice. I was responsible for car spotting, I guess. The first time I was counting, like, I spent a lot of time watching just to calculate like how many seconds we have between each big rush of cars, because it's an insanely busy street down there. And then it took a while for Joe to get onto the rail. And then when he's about to do it, the cop showed up because we're obviously blocking the street, because at some point he's going and we have to stop the cars. And the cops are like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And local friend Yakumea also gets in an argument with them, almost gets arrested. Like, I don't know, crazy situation. It's already like high intensity. That's 2 a.m. maybe. And then one of the last night of the trip, and half the crew is already sleeping. Joe's like, I think I want to go back, like, I think I got this. Like, okay, like, wake Benny up or whoever. Like, I think Dominic was sleeping, so wake Dominic so I can get the picture, go back like a smaller crew, and same thing, like spotting the cars. But it was working better. We had more time and he worked out, and then he started sessioning this thing. Man, like, okay, these were insane moments. Like, you can probably tell on my face, I still have the rush from these moments, because we're still racing against the car. We don't want to get busted by the police again. And at the same time, this is one of the most epic tricks I've seen in real life, and I've seen some shit. But this was a moment.
Loads going on. You're like, are we going to get arrested? Is he going to get really badly hurt? There's
so many factors, like the trick in itself, but then everything that surrounds it. The intensity was really, really fucking high. So these moments stand out for sure. Like, skating wise, probably like one of the craziest moments. In general, like, if I say Cayenne, just like overall the mood, like the whole time we're in Oslo, it's just like this really nice summer trip with friends. I can't pinpoint one moment, but overall, like the whole vibe of getting together and we all charge up with this energy from Roskilde, but we're not in party mode, we're in skating mode, and suddenly translate into 10 amazing tricks every day. Like, yeah, this was just overall like an amazing experience. And then Taiwan, I can't pinpoint moments, but overall, yeah, there were always high points like this. Mexico also, it was overall, there's been an incredible experience. So I'll just conclude on the Cayenne chapter saying, I hope there's a next one. I'm not sure I will be involved, but I hope there's one. Just take into account the reality of this new world, the reality of the fact that Richie's turning 40. Joe and Farm are probably the last official pros on the trip. I mean, David is still on them team and skating a lot, so I guess this counts. But then you said it, like, Carson is not skating, Slinky is not skating. I guess Josh is skating, but probably spending more time teaching, you know, like it's,
Yeah.
the whole crew has evolved and everyone's grown up, and now there's babies involved and families and real job and real life responsibilities. So I think it would be the time to shift the Cayenne thing into something else, or at least try and tell a different story. And I hope that's what's going to happen in the next one.
So how did you go from being involved in the Cayenne Project to then working with Nils on, is it Mind Your Step? Was that his VOD?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I always get these country, like I'm the worst when it comes to countries. So that was
this
in
was
Thailand.
This was the other one. It's the other one. Just remember, it's the other one.
Anyone from either of these countries is going to hate me. Warapodge, I'm sorry, Warapodge.
It's all good. Fault. I don't think it minds.
I'm from a tiny island as well, if it makes you feel any better. That no one knows. No one knows where Scotland is, so it's fine. So yeah, how did you get involved in that, and what was your role in that video?
Same thing. Came up with the idea, but it's really Kaspar's and Nils' idea. Like we all exchanged and brainstormed and came up with at least a shared idea at first. Then I guess throughout the tour, as it was the trip as it was happening, it evolved a little bit. And then working on it afterward, the post-production part was when I think those ideas really kind of split different directions. And Kaspar's and I, especially, I guess, were had a different outcome in mind. And that's when I was like, okay, cool. Like, you take it and you run with it. But it's all good. Like I went out to Latvia for the premiere. It was great to watch it in a movie, like a classic old theater in the center of the city with all the VIPs you can imagine in Latvia. It was really nice. So my involvement was surviving the trip. We all got hurt on the trip. Kaspar split his shin open. Nils got hurt, as you see in the small doco, and I split my knee open. So we all ended up really banged up and really exhausted, because compared to Cayenne, where it's unfortunate, but if someone gets hurt, there will be someone to take over.
Yeah.
But when Nils get hurt,
because he's the only skater
in the
video.
One,
I'm trying to remember what happened to Nils. He didn't. He got hit by a car.
No.
Didn't he get? Wasn't that the one?
He almost smashed into a car, but that was a happy accident. Nothing
what else happened to him?
He was trying to transfer from a bridge, from a flat ledge on the bridge into a down ledge that was going into the pedestrian crosswalk, I think. But I'm not sure the fall is actually either in the video or in the B-roll.
I do remember this now. I remember Nils telling me about this when I interviewed him for it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay.
So he hurt his ankle, bruised the heel as well, and he powered through it. But he had to take a few days off for sure. Fasted for a couple of days. I think the very same day he called his physio in Latvia to get some advice on how to tape it properly, what kind of exercise to rehab as quick as possible. So this was a moment. But then, that's when you see how you bounce back. So Nils, as an athlete, bounced back in the most professional way possible because he's Nils. And then Kaspar's was also filming with Warpoche, so they went on missions in the city, got some scenery and city shots that were useful for the script that Kaspar's had developed. So everyone, we still worked during that time, but it was not so much skating for a few days and then went back on it. And I did film all the B-roll footage. There's 20 minutes of it on YouTube. You can find that on Nils' channel. It's good. You can hear me singing.
I remember. So if you said that you and Kaspar's had different ideas about how you wanted the video to turn out, how did you want the video to turn out?
I don't know. Then it's small details, and when you're in the thick of it, those details are huge. In the end, it still resembles what we had talked about, but then when it comes into the practice of doing things, and I guess Kaspar had a really, really firm idea of how he wanted things to work and was not so flexible on a lot of things that I think should be flexible because we're not a big Hollywood production, and we need to be able to, I don't know, it's just like different ways of being and working as well. So it was a learning experience. I guess at some point it just got a bit intense, and I was like, hey, like Kaspar is a great friend of mine, and I want to have him as a friend. It's more important than have him as a colleague and not a friend, you know. So if I have to choose, I'd rather have him as a friend. And yeah, hopefully we'll be having pizza soon. Hopefully next few weeks I'll be having pizza at his place.
You did a very good job of not answering that question at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe that's the French politics coming out.
Yeah.
Just different, man. Like, what can I say?
Okay. One thing I will note is that for a video that was, you know, a rollerblading video that was meant to have an environmental message, it's kind of contradictory to have a rollerblading video with an environmental message when several guys flew across the world and used, you know,
yeah, I mean,
a lot of environment, a lot of our natural resources.
Yeah, we blew up some
fuels.
gasoline for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Kaspar and I were both in China before for FISE, and we trekked our way down to Thailand. So at least our own carbon footprint was a lot smaller, because we did take trains and a boat through Laos for 2 days. We actually sailed our way to Thailand. Nils had to take a plane, of course, but.
Does Kaspar's film at FISE? Is that one?
No, I mean, for that year, he was a photo reporter.
Ah, right. Okay.
And I was doing the live commentary, so we both got on the plane from FISE money and then made it work. At first, I guess that's also why it took a different shape in the end. At first, we tried to sell the project to FISE as a way to promote the event and get Nils to come over to China, but film the process of him coming over and then traveling to China, like have something that would bring a bit more street credibility to the event, I guess. And surprisingly, that
would have been a good idea. I'm surprised they didn't go for that.
They actually approved it, but too late.
Ah, right. Okay.
And because of the delay to get the visas and everything, because we didn't want to push too much, but then we still had to push. And then at some point, Kasper was like, hey, because for him, the process of getting the visa coming from Latvia was also way more complicated. We're like, okay, like we need an answer within the next 5 days or something. Otherwise, we need to develop a plan B. And then 5 days, no answer. We start developing the thing, booked it, like, okay, we go for this. And then a few days after that, the FISE came back saying yes. I mean, we still would have had to argue, like discuss the budget and everything. They wanted to make it much lower budget than what we had in mind, which was not a lot, but they still said yes. But I guess it's such a big company that so many people have their word to say, like whoever's in charge of the advertising, whoever's in charge of communication, whoever's in charge of the YouTube channel. I don't know. Like it took so many people like, saying, yeah, I think so. Well, maybe not. Blah, 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 blah. Like by the time they actually come up with a collective answer, it takes too long, or it took too long for this one.
Was there no way to sell them the finished product after the fact, or would they not have been
I mean, there was no
in
fees in it in the end because it was all Thailand and no event. Because the whole idea was like, okay, Nils will come to FISE and then we'll have a tour through China, so we can sell. Like, it's good for the Chinese partners as well because you get to promote the country. I don't know. We're trying to find like a nice balance of not selling out, but still sell them something, some sort of product.
I was just thinking maybe that they could find a way to kind of like tie it in by, you know, presenting it as like, you know, a FISE funded film and then show it at events or whatever, or we
might try and do something with Nils in the near future that will be showcased on the FISE channels. We still have to finalize this, but it's kind of an idea that's floating around.
Okay.
But that's also why, like, from this original idea, it went into something entirely different. And then the way we want to tell the story is not necessarily the same. Obviously, Kaspar is the main videographer, so we'll have, and he wrote, like, he scripted everything. And I guess that's probably where I was saying, like, I would want to be more flexible because it's a trip and not everything is going to go according to script. And obviously, Nils got hurt, and then we don't have enough time in this one place to kind of fit the image that Kaspar's wanted for the movie and so on. Like, so it led to not really agreeing on what it should look like or how the narration should be and so on.
Yeah. Speaking of FISE, Are
Mhm.
FISE events have started up again?
Yeah.
Are you still judging for them, or is that not like a
No,
regular thing?
I haven't judged in some years, but I have started. I was reporting. I was out of it. Like at some point, I guess we made a couple books as well with Dominic because at one point, so that's also why we got so much coverage from so many different events, including FISE. Yo-Yo for FISE would be a MC on the course. Dominic was competing, and back then, when you get top 5 at one of the world tour stops, you get flown
Yeah,
to the
they
next
pay
one. So
for you. Yeah,
Dominic
yeah.
managed to get to quite a few stops like this, and I was a judge, so we would get tickets for work or skating for Dominic, but then we would do all the media coverage as well for BMAG, and then we produced 2 books with Dom that look like this. This was the
Yep.
first one, and it's like a collection of pictures from the first year, and a really maybe you'd like a really ironic text as well. And this is the second one. This one is color. We actually got commissioned to do it, but then the budget shrunk and shrunk and shrunk, and then we struggled to even get the expenses of the printing expenses back.
As is as is
But
always
at
the
least,
case. I know that story very well.
yeah.
Yes.
And then I guess some of the like the text even more explicitly ironic, um, because it like the whole point. Maybe it goes back to what you were saying about those rock and roll stories and those tour reporters that cover like the what's behind the curtain. Like the second one is actually called rideau, which means curtain, and that was the whole point of trying to show what's happening in the backs and yeah behind the course, what's the inner workings of such an event and what's good about it and what's kind of shitty and commercial but what's really good about it.
But
And yeah,
those
we did that.
fees were happy for you to make something that looks into the negative aspects of the
I'm
events.
not sure everyone liked it in the end. We got some people who are a little pissed off, but it was also rideau is another way. It has triple meaning. That's why I picked the title. But the first one is yeah, what's behind the curtain. Also, that's a nickname for when you black out from partying. And Julien Cudeau especially was nicknamed Julien Rideau for a while, so that made sense. And also rideau is an expression in theater when you just like close the curtain and like that's a way of saying goodbye, like the end. And for Dominic and I guess it was a way of saying, okay, like bye, we're done with this shit. And then Yo-Yo was out. Dominic hasn't been to a FISE event since, but then a couple of years later, somehow Josep was, so I'm totally out of BMAG. I'm still contributing every now and then, but I'm out of the decision making or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then Josip asked me if I want to go to Saudi Arabia. Like, I mean, what do you mean? How? I know BMAG has no budget to buy a single plane ticket. Like, and it comes out that fees actually for this year, it happened for the previous years in BMX, they had a budget to fly one specialized media for BMX to every event. So they would get coverage in the press, on-site coverage from a few dedicated media. And that year, since blading was also World Cup, they decided to put the same budget to fly a reporter from blading. So like, okay, sure, I'll do that. I mean, so it's still a free job, but a free plane ticket. And one thing I've learned in my life is I can never say no to a free plane ticket.
I noticed that.
Sorry for the carbon footprint. I apologize. I do ride the bus a lot, but that wasn't an option for Saudi. So I flew to Saudi Arabia, and then my friend Johan, who's the sports manager at FISE, and his friend, like I mentioned, I was a student in Tours, and Johan was a student there. That's when we met, like 15 years, 16, 17 years ago. And he just happened to become involved with FISE and then is working there like full time for a long, long time now. He's like, okay, so you're doing this for BMAG, which is cool, but you're not making any money. Let me see if I can get you on the live stream team. And I'd wanted to do this in the past, but the option had gone, and I mean, I couldn't get the job at the time. So I was like, okay, well, if I can do it now, why not? And then get a little money. And for him, that's one less plane ticket to pay for someone else to do the job. So that's a win-win situation, of course. That's always the case with fees. But that happened, and it was nice. I did it with my partner in crime, Ryan, who is the main host for every single show, and then
Yeah.
he gets a specialist to come and help him on every single sport, and he's really used to the job. So it's like, oh, don't worry, don't stress out. You know, it's like you're speaking to 5 people anyway. No one's actually watching us. So it was really relaxed, and we hadn't seen each other for a couple of years. So it's like a friendly conversation where we watch some rollerblading and talk a little bit about the skating, but mostly, oh, you're in Berlin now. That's sick. Like, how's Dominic? And and then I went back to the hotel that night and realized 55,000 people had watched the show. And I was like, oh, damn. Okay. Like, we're joking about it on air. I'm like, to all 5 of you watching this, blah, 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 this is what's happening. And then I came back and it's not 5, it's 55,000. So, okay, well, this is interesting. And this is the most schizophrenic kind of job you can ever have. I guess this is the job that everyone thinks they know how they would do it and how they would be so good at it. And honestly, once you're on the spot,
Yeah,
you get
it's different.
these
You
big
get tongue
headphones, and
tied.
then
The words just don't come into your head. Like you try and remember like details about that rider, and
I mean,
they
the
just don't
problem is
come
the
to you.
words come, but they come in your head, and then on your right here you got the voice of your co-host, and on the other here you got the voice of production, and you have to remember what your words are because you got
Yeah.
words coming from both sides, and then you're trying to focus on what's happening at the same time. It's really easy to get lost in there, but and it's a job you can't really train for. Like, the only way to do it is to do it. So we did this one, and then the opportunity arose to do it on the next tour. The same, like I was doing the BMAG reporting, and then got the job as the commentator. And then on the trip, I guess there were 4 stops that year. And so on the third one, because I was going to be in Montpellier anyway, I told them, listen, I'll make my own way to Montpellier, just get me the hotel room or whatever, and the job as the commentator. But the plane ticket for the journalist you give to my friend Kaspars. And Kaspars flew over to Montpellier, and we did the coverage together, which was much nicer. And we killed it. We really killed it, because at the time we also started like really tracking what other media was doing, like what they were doing in BMX and how many views they were getting. And I guess then there was China, and then I was getting the job as a commentator, and Kaspars as a journalist. So we both joined there, and that was our way to go to Thailand for cheap and make the Mind Your Step project happen for cheap, because then we're just traveling on our own money to make it to Thailand. And the return trips were like from wherever in Asia that we're flying back from were on FISE money as well. So that's how Mind Your Step happened, and that's how I started commentating FISE as well.
So what made you decide to stop doing work with the FISE events then?
I'm still like, they just stopped working entirely for
No,
the
but
past year.
you said you stopped doing them like several years ago. Like you stopped like.
I mean, there was because I was a head judge at the time, and I wanted to retire from the position for at least 2 years before that, and they just couldn't get new people in, I guess, or it was also judging fees is it's heavy. There's a lot of money involved, and there's a lot of ego involved from most of the competitors. I mean, obviously, you're on a really big stage, and there's lots of French people. Just gonna put it that way, or dickheads, like my friend Yo-Yo would say, and then he would turn to me and say, "Oh, I'm sorry." But yeah, I mean, how long can you judge an event? And like, it's not a job you're gonna like. At one point, okay, you know how to do it. You're not gonna progress or find more innovative way, or you're not gonna progress your craft. Like, at some point, we master the craft. Okay, I guess I need to change and try different stuff. I guess that's the story of my life.
I was about to say you say that, but then it sounds like it feeds into your personality and your tendencies well, because you don't ever stay in one place for too long. You like to float around. You like to live in different places, experience new things. I would have thought judging the fees and getting plane tickets and being able to take advantage of just being dropped off in various parts of the globe would
it was
appeal
nice,
to your...
and I did it for a long time. So I'm not complaining, and I have nothing, like, I have nothing wrong to say about them either. It was just like, okay, I'm done with this. I think I want something else. I don't really, it still happened a couple of times in 2019, which is kind of the last normal year of work. But I judged, I helped judge an event in Croatia because one of the judges didn't show and I just wanted to help out. But that wasn't really the plan, but it just happened. And then Sven got me to judge the Urban Sports Week in Amsterdam.
All right.
And I mean, the park event was just like classic park event with a best trick contest every day. It was fun, but it's like same old. But then they had this box battle. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that. Kevin made a video.
Yeah,
of it.
I've seen the edits.
It's like a normal skate box with a couple rails in the back and two quarter pipes. And it was like a small stage. It was a bit out of the main event site. So there was a crowd, but it could have been, if you put it in the middle, it would have been super packed. It's so easy for people to understand. You don't have to know the sport. You just pick it's always a head-to-head battle. So it's so easy to pick your favorite depending on the style, whatever they're like, oh, this one looks better than the other. That's it. Yeah. So it's really easy for people to get involved. If the MC is good and AJ was killing it, I don't know. It was just such a good vibe. And as a judge, we had a ping pong racket and you just have to pick the color. Is it red or is it blue? And just pick your rider and that's it. And I got really, really happy and drunk doing this and dancing around between the heats. And it was, this reconciled me with the act of judging. So I hope this happens again. I would love to do it again.
Fair enough. So what have you been doing for the past year or so since coronavirus, entered our lives? Because have you been able to do any kind of work? What
I did fortunately get translation work coming in last year, almost as normal, and that's my most steady source of income. It's not a lot, but it's several times throughout the year, and I get a decent paycheck for not so many days of work. So
just translating from like French to English or English to French.
Both ways. Both ways. And I got a couple jobs writing as well. So that happens but that's usually, a couple times a year, I'll get like a small contract for a written piece, but it was not so much money, but since I was traveling so little, I did spend a lot of time in this house actually. The year.
Were you still living in, was it Belgium last year?
No, that's the thing. Let me rewind a little bit. Like in 2018, I decided to quit my squat in Brussels. To leave that place. Remy and his girl were moving out also because they were going to be parents. And I guess it was the right time to do so. But I was already out of the house, traveling so much that I was not also bringing a lot to the place. So it was for the best. Just decide, okay, I'm traveling so much. I'm just going to try and do it without a place. And I took that decision and I was already 1,000 kilometers from there anyway. So I just went back a few weeks later, packed my stuff, put it somewhere, and then a couple of months after, just drove the car and picked it up. Okay. So end of 2018, I was traveling as was planned. And 2019 was my first year fully without a home. So that was my first real test as a home-free veteran, if you will. And all those gigs I have, it's not a lot of money, but since I don't have the expense of the home, at the end of the year, I recently tried to remember, I was walking out and just trying to remember, okay, how did the year start and where did I end up and how many places I've been to? And I've probably been in 25 different countries, involved with, I don't know how many events, skated a lot and made just enough. I was actually a lot more comfortable without the place and making a decent amount through my work. So it was like, whoa, okay, the test is positive. Like 2019, fuck yeah, best year. 2020 started. I decided to compete. That was my challenge for 2020. I was like, okay, every contest I go to, that's one thing I've never done. For instance, I never competed, like a couple of small events, maybe here and there, but that was never my thing. And I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to try that, like new challenge for myself. And I did Winter Clash, which was a big challenge. Before that, I spent some time skating in Latvia with Nils, so not training, but actually getting like a lot of power from skating big park with him. We're not both of us are not really used to that. So it was, okay, new experience, big transition, go to Winter Clash. Whoa, and then we're going to Sicily for the Roches trip, like sick, like everything is too good. And then COVID happened, and it was okay.
I didn't know you were. So you were on the trip where the Roses team filmed Mizica.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah.
this is that's what I'm
You don't
talking about.
expect
You're
it, but
always in the
I'm always
background
there.
because I know you've been on all the Cayenne trips, but you've only got like one clip in Formosa, right?
There are three actually in the video, but
You've got
there's one
you've got the
actual clip that I
sunny
filmed
day
as a
round
clip.
round. You've got the sunny day
Yeah.
around the curved ledge. You don't have any skating clips in the other videos, do you?
No, I
And
don't.
then
Maybe a couple hidden ones, but that are pretty much shit. So let's
and
not count
you've
them.
not got any clips in Musica.
Not Musica. No, no. I
So
mean,
you're
I'm
just
not
always
skating
hiding.
roaches.
Yeah, but
Let me just put it that way. But I don't think
you're
I
just
put my skates on the whole trip. I was just eating and filming. So
oh right, okay. So you were helping out like behind the lens,
yeah, I mean that's what I usually do. So that's
right?
why also this process of filming with Kevin is also like a new experiment. Let's just reverse the process and put myself out there.
So were you responsible for the dad cam footage in Musica? Was that you?
No, actually, like my footage is still sitting on this computer. It took me so long to just get it out of the camera.
Right.
Uh, okay, this makes no sense. Like I was just the tickets were so cheap. I think it was 15 euros, 17 euros to fly me to Sicily from Eindhoven, and then like something similar to fly me back to France. It was a really cheap
Nice.
investment, and so we agreed that we just come as an observer, if
Observer.
that's a
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
And just before that, Dominic had told me a few times that, hey, you know, I did film on Formosa with the Daddy Cam, and I did film all the B-roll on and few of the clips were actually in the video for Mind Your Step, but I never had my own camera, and not for a long time. I did film a lot in California when I was there, but then I've always had like bad experiences with filming because, for instance, California, I came back with a dozen tapes that I'd filmed there, and then the camera, the XL2 I was using at the time that was lent to me by Razors actually just ended up eating all the fucking tapes, so all the footage is ruined. And I had like the full profile of him was my friend Casey McFarlane, for instance. It was just the two of us,
As
crazy
in,
missions.
as
We did
in
make it happen. I had enough for a small section, and then all the tapes got destroyed. So it was really like,
Arizona Casey McFarland, as in
yeah, that guy, my friend
Nim
Casey Cordner.
psychopath Casey McFarland. Oh my
He's not a
God.
psychopath.
He is
He's a
his
mellow psychopath.
he is not mellow when he puts on skates. When he puts on
He's sick, man.
skates,
Like, yeah,
he
I had
is
best times with him.
he is, like taunting mortality when he puts on skates. He is scary. Okay, that footage, that's devastating that footage is gone
Yeah, I
because
mean, I had a couple experience like this. Like, there was a couple times in my life, okay, like I'm gonna try and put more time into filming, and then everything is ruined for one reason or another. And so I always push it back. And then I had lots of fun in Formosa, especially like, so Dominic already mentioned it to me. Hey, you know, I have an old VX sitting at home. You could have it. And then if you like it, we'll arrange something with the payment. And I'm like, okay, maybe. And then Mexico, I was supposed to be filming same thing, like third. I mean, there are already two camera guys. So I'm really happy in the position of being like one step behind and just trying to grab more stuff and just what's happening behind the scenes as well. And then Carson didn't get the camera I was supposed to bring for me on time, so he didn't fly in with a camera for me. I was like, oh, I just don't have one. Like, fuck, like, you know, that in my head, like the next 3 weeks, I have 10 hours in my day where I'm gonna hold the camera, and suddenly you don't. So it's like, oh, really frustrating process. And Dominic told me again, like, you know, I have this VX at home. I'm not sure if it works, but if you want it, you can have it. And I was like, okay, deal. And at Winter Clash, she gave it to me. And the next day, like just after Winter Clash, we were flying straight to Sicily. So I just tried to not fuck up the footage too much because I had never used the camera before. But from what's on my computer, it looks okay. Now I just have to cut it, which is an insanely long process because I have like 8 hours of footage that are captured in like,
yeah,
in like,
yeah.
it's like 12 minutes long to 1 hour long pieces of video that I have to cut in separate clips. It's obviously last year would have been the best to do it, but I had no motivation whatsoever.
Yeah. It's not like you didn't have the free time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like the worst part. I think a lot of people experience that, having a lot of time and feeling absolutely unmotivated. I mean, at first I was making plans. Okay, like I'm going to try this. And then boom, reality kicks in. Like, no, you're going to be locked down for another 3 weeks. I mean, okay, let's make another plan. No, actually, lockdown is pushed back another 3 weeks. Like, okay, at some point, I just realized I'm not making plans anymore because every time it hurts me a little bit and puts me down. So I'm just going to take every day as it comes. And then it becomes really hard putting yourself in this position of, I'm going to spend like the next 3 weeks capturing this footage and logging all the footage in. So I read a lot, listened to a lot. I think that was the original question before I started digressing so much. But yeah, after Mysica, lockdown, spent some time here, and lockdown ended sometime early June. So I fucked right off. And then second half of the year, I could still travel. And I went to visit, like I made it more local, took buses to Paris, to Lille, to Brussels, to Amsterdam. Already spent some time there for the premiere of Plastic Pushers. So that's when the idea to get a couple clips for this one happened for Kevin's birthday. And then went to Hamburg to hang out with Karsten. We went to Copenhagen for 10 days, came back to Hamburg, went to Berlin, spent 3 weeks in Katowice with the homies from Head on Skate, which was great, and then flew to Bulgaria. So I still had like a half normal year for me, but it was still really different. Then I ended up, that's a nice example as to how you can make it work with very little money, because I still make very little money all throughout the year, but I don't have this fixed income. Like the only thing I pay every month is my social security insurance and my 10 euros to Spotify. Oh, and that's the only fixed
I was about to say,
expenses.
Not your phone bill. Surely you've got a phone bill.
I just use credit but right now I don't have credit on the phone. For instance, I can't call you. You can call me, but only if I know I'm going to be needed at time, I do get credit on. So no fixed expense besides those two. So 50 euros a month I need to shell out, and that's it. So I was in Bulgaria. That's where I ended the trip and stayed. I was supposed to go to Greece afterwards, but that's when conditions started getting a bit rougher. It was harder to cross the border, so I just stayed longer. It was really nice spending time with my friend Avi and Mina, my girl there, at least for the time being, Anna, and started climbing. It was still really more free than most places in Europe at the time. I could still walk. I could still go to the climbing room. I started climbing there because I had a gigantic wall. So it was nice. And then I started thinking, okay, I need to go back. December is going to be Christmas time. There were family things I really needed to attend as well. And so my example, flying to Paris would be 200 euros, but I can get a flight from Sofia to, Barcelona for 15. Okay. So the money, and from Barcelona, I could get on the bus for free from Flixbus. That would get me 30 kilometers from here. So that, okay, 15 euros, I can spend.
Why is the bus from Barcelona into France free?
I bought some, long story, Flixbus last year because they needed cash money. They offered their customers the opportunity to buy tickets for 14 euros. That would give you a coupon code you can use for any direct
right.
trip
so just
in the future. So I already paid those last year. Basically. I bought some. Sorry?
Basically like a blank ticket. You could just use it to go to any of their destinations, right?
As long as it's a direct trip. And I realized I had no clue, but there's a direct bus going from Barcelona to a town near here. It's 9 or 10 hours on the bus, but it would be free. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So with the rest of the money, I would just get Airbnb for a week. It's super cheap because it's COVID time and not a lot of tourists. So yeah, I would spend 100 euros and get 1 week in Barcelona, all expenses paid for 100 euros. So by not going directly to Paris, and from there I would still have to get a couple of trains to get back to my mom's place. By not going the direct route, I'm saving money and I'm getting to spend 1 week in Barcelona.
And
so that's usually how I organize I have the time, so I just organize my way around in little kinky detours that actually save me money and get me more places.
And you get to just keep the Fred White never-ending adventure going.
Exactly,
for a little bit longer.
It did end when I had to take a PCR test to go to Barcelona, and then it came back negative. It came back positive.
Right.
And so it became really serious. and we got like a couple governmental organization calling in the morning, like, hey, you got tested positive yesterday, blah blah blah. You got to self quarantine for 14 days, and all contact cases had to. So my girl, my two friends, my Felia, my friend's Avi's sister, all the people I had been in touch with had to quarantine for 10 days. So I felt super bad for them, and I felt quite shitty that I could not get on the plane. And then we tested again. So the next morning it got tested negative. So I was like, okay, I could probably sneak my way through the airport, but is it really the reasonable thing to do? And Barcelona suffered quite a lot from all the COVID stuff. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try for once to be an adult. And I locked myself up for 14 days in an apartment in Sofia, Bulgaria.
Did you have any like symptoms, or were you unwell, or did you?
No, I had nothing at all.
Yeah. So what does the future hold then? What are your do you have any plans for either for this year or for like further ahead? Because you've been living the nomadic lifestyle for years now. Like most people
years.
like either get tired of it or decide that they're like, oh no, like I do want to do the whole like settle down, get a job thing. But you don't seem like you want to settle down. You seem like you're happy for it to keep going.
I mean, for now, I'm really good. Like, again, if this situation was to carry on for a couple of years where like traveling especially gets a lot more complicated, then I would reconsider for sure. Like, I've thought about it briefly. I've been offered a couple of jobs in the last few months where like, I mean, I don't want to commit to like a long or like medium term job right now. But if this keeps on going for a while, then maybe that's the best. Like, settle down in one place for a year, 2 years, save up a lot of money, and then get free to move again.
I love how that's like you're not like settle down. You're like settle down for a year, just save enough money so that I can disappear again.
Both offers were in Montreal, Canada, and I'm not sure. I mean, I would love to spend some time there. That was a big plan of last year already, and it's a plan for this year, but I'm not sure I mean, right now, Canada is still entirely locked down for strangers unless you have like a real reason to go there. So, but I have lots of friends in Montreal, and I think they really want me to move down to the place.
You can go and hang out with your best friend, Nicky Adams.
Oh, I met him 2 years ago, actually. The Blade God.
My God. Oh my God.
Is super, like, it's so funny, the contrast between like the persona online or whatever, like what was in the videos and how quiet he is in real life. So he's actually been good company when I was there.
I'll take your word for it. So do you have any like projects or anything that you've got planned for the future, or anything you can tell me about that?
So not settling down is the project. I have a couple of things here, and then within the next couple of weeks, I'll start moving again. I want to attend this event my friend Avi is doing in Bulgaria, beginning of July. If anyone wants to check out X Challenge Park in Bulgaria, it's a fucking sick place. He invested in a camping next to the Black Sea. They've got stuff in the trees for kids. I'm not sure what's the English term for it. They got a sick-ass co-working space that just developed now. They have a dirt track for bikes, and they do have a concrete bowl right in there in the middle of the place, and it's 5 minutes from the sea. And then they also have a bar and a surf school right there on the beach. Okay, if you have kids that want to enjoy vacation, it's a nice suggestion for me.
Can think of worse places to go.
Yeah. And so I would go there, come back, spend some time in Brussels, and then go film a couple more weeks with Kevin. And hopefully, until the premiere of Plastic Pushers, which is happening first few days of August. And then from there, I don't know. I need to go to Latvia. It's been a long time, and pushed back a lot of, I don't know, July and August are traveling. I just need to be in France end of August. And then, projects, there's stuff brewing in my head for sure. And I guess last year was good for this, having a lot of time to think about long-term projects, kind of. And I'm not going to spoil anything because right now it's just brain farts of mine that might not lead to anything. But let's say that actually putting myself on the other side of the camera for plastic pusher was kind of a first step that was a necessary step in that development. So that is successful so far, I would say. So let's see. That would include like living in some places for a longer period of time to make those plans happen. So maybe in the future, I will settle down shortly, 6 months to a year in a few different places at a time and make projects out of that.
You mean
that's the future for me, but maybe.
After your full-length plastic pushers section comes out and all the sponsors come knocking and want to offer.
No, I don't think this is happening. I don't think a section is happening, but I don't know. I started
if you've already
searching for music just in case.
If you've already got like 10, 15 clips and you go for another week, you could stack the same again.
Let's see how the stacking goes.
Yeah.
No, yeah. First and most immediate project is try to get as much good footage in so I can also get rid of whatever is not good enough. And I'd rather have just 10 clips in the video that are really good than 30 average clips. But I like what we've done so far. I think it's super weird to talk about my skating like this because, I mean, we've talked about all the projects I've been involved in.
Yeah.
And my name is not on the posters for Cayenne or Mind Your Step. It's literally maybe 5% of the things I've done on BMAG actually have my name on I'm actually credited for it. Most of the thing would just be signed BMAG. Like the project has always come before me and I've always been really project focused and I don't think I'm really ego driven. And even now, I don't think it's an ego thing really I just want to challenge myself and change the perspective and be on the skates and see what it looks like. But so far, I would say it looks like me. So this is nice. I think I've been on the skates for 20 plus years at this point, and at least the footage that I've seen does look like me. It sounds really weird to say, but it fits my vision of what I want skating to be for me, not like what skating should be, not at all. But I'm not the most technical skater, obviously. I'm not going to be skating a lot of down rails or drop kink rails. This is not what I do, but with my 37 years old body, I'm still able to do things that a lot of people are not, I guess. So I'm just going to try to flow through that video and just have a couple clips sprinkled here and there. Right. And hopefully people will like it.
I'm sure we will. I've only got one more question for you, and it's an important one. Why does every Facebook post start with sometimes comma? Is this like a profound thing you read in a book and you thought, I'm stealing that?
No, it's a really stupid thing. I just sometimes constraints are good for creativity. So I think at first when I started posting, like it just was like, I don't have a profound answer for this. It was just, I don't know, this is going to be the trademark and I just have to, I guess it changed a lot, but at first it was probably just one sentence and it just had to start like this. I don't know. I'm weird and stupid and I have lots of really stupid ideas and all my friends laugh at me when I just tell them the crazy stuff that comes out of my head. So this was just one of the not so good ideas probably, but it's still well, like
you've ran with it for a very long time. So
that's it. I'm good at taking stupid shit and keeping it going until people start thinking there's something to it, you know?
I mean,
no reason.
It's your trademark now. So if you abandoned it, people might think there's something wrong.
Dustin Verbisky just posted something today, and the only text attached to it is sometimes.
I'm gonna
Dustin. I want my royalties now.
Copyright. That's not his.
This is
that's
all
not his.
copywriting, Steve.
Yeah, it's like I've told Lino he's not allowed to use the word platform. That's my word now. Right?
No, but that's
He controls half of rollerblading YouTube. He doesn't get to steal my word as well. I'm not having it.
I think that's a fair deal.
I think so too.
I think you should use it as much as possible and you actually get paid. I think that's a smart idea for you.
I've never been that good with the smart ideas. That's the problem.
Yeah, I think that's both our problems. Otherwise, we wouldn't be involved with skate media for such a long time, would we?
That is also true, but you know.
Yeah. The curse of smart people doing blade media.
I've never claimed to be a smart person. I've got nothing else unless you've got anything else you want to say before we wrap
I'm all
this
good.
up.
I think it's been a long time running.
Well,
I
in
hope
that
I
case,
did give you some dirt and some stories,
you
but
you
actually I don't
dodged a
have.
couple of questions, but I'll let you away with it.
No, but you know how it is if you have a professional disagreement and how you've probably done it a lot
No,
also
I
working
get
through
it. Yeah,
media, working with photographers, videographers, people, artists, if I can use that word, that have really specific ideas and sometimes ideas clash and that's just it. And you
yeah.
just have to find what's best. And
You can
sometimes the
disagree. It
best is to
doesn't.
go separate ways.
Yeah. Well, you can disagree, but you can disagree, and it doesn't mean you have to fall out or you don't respect each other. You just disagree, and that's the
Yeah.
end
But
of it.
sometimes it can get really intense. I usually am in the position of the mediator between, like I've seen crazy stuff happen between two photographers when we're trying to do the layout for a project or just like decide like make the photo selections, people getting such crazy states. So usually I'm the one, the pacifier.
Well,
Like, don't worry guys, we got this.
passionate people have strong views, and
Yeah,
sometimes they don't like it when
that's
someone
why
tries to.
blading is so great too. People can get so angry about the stupidest shit. I love it.
They do. We do. I do. I'm
Yeah.
guessing you do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I try to stay away from social media a bit more. So you just get a sometimes post every now and then. But it's just, sometimes.
Just sometimes. I think that's it. I think that's the perfect
Yeah,
word
that's
to
a
end this
nice
on.
way to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot for having me on the show. It's been a long time. Nice to catch up with you. And let's have a beer and actually talk the shit next time.
Let's
And
do
maybe
it.
skate a little bit. Winter Clash.
Sometimes you bump into a handsome Frenchman in a foreign country.
And sometimes you get massively drunk and talk a lot of crap. I'm all for that.
I'm all for that too.
Let's do it. Until next time, David. Thanks for having me on.
Speak soon.
See you.